Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. One of the hottest areas of the market in 2023 has obviously been artificial intelligence. There's no questioning that. There's a ton of growth from chip companies like NVIDIA. Microsoft has seen a lot of growth in AI. We have the advent of ChatGPT and OpenAI, but we're now getting past the hype cycle of artificial intelligence, and we can kind of figure out as investors where value is going to be added long term. I think over the last couple of weeks, we've really seen that the model itself is probably going to become more of a commodity. So as Meta open sourced its Llama 2 model, that means that other companies are going to have to either find other open source models, use Llama's model, or maybe be at a disadvantage because they're paying for an API like OpenAI's. So I think the clear trend is that models themselves are probably going to be open source and free to use. There's still going to be a lot of cloud services used, but a lot of those models are going to move on to devices. So where's the value going to be added? And I think that's really going to be at the product level. And that's why there are 5 stocks that I think are really well positioned for artificial intelligence long term and to profit from this trend long term. That's what I'm going to dig into today. Thanks. My name is Travis Hoyam. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube. And for more deep dives and analysis like this, check out my newsletter, Asymmetric Investing, in the show notes. The first company that a lot of investors thought was really under threat from artificial intelligence, but I think is going to benefit, is Alphabet. If you think about Google search, they've been using artificial intelligence for quite a while now, doing things like predictive text, figuring out what ad is going to work best for consumers. Now we're going to be able to move into things like dynamically producing ads, doing predictive text within things like Google Docs or Gmail. And then there's, of course, YouTube and all of the value that can be added with artificial intelligence for YouTube. While it's easy to see AI as a threat for Alphabet and for Google specifically, I think the reality is that they have the kind of user base and technical ability to actually make this something that locks them in further with customers. If ChatGPT and OpenAI haven't been able to disrupt Google yet, their usage is going down. Google has not lost market share in the last 6 months. So I think that threat is kind of behind us at this point, and Google is going to be able to respond. So Alphabet is in a much better position than a lot of people thought in artificial intelligence. It's maybe not going to be something that's flashy for them, but it works in the background, and that's going to be a great place to be, providing products people use and allowing AI to add little benefits to those products long term. The second one that's a little bit more upfront about the impact of artificial intelligence is Adobe. And this was one of the companies that I thought had one of the best product releases with its Firefly and Photoshop updates. What they have done is built their own model, their own custom model, using images that they own, so that they know that they own the copyright. Their customers know that they own the copyright for any AI images. And then in Photoshop, which is a widely used tool, people are able to use artificial intelligence to add something to an image, to expand an image. There's a lot of different ways that Adobe can do this. And if you think about all their products, whether it's movie editing, image creation, image editing, these are the kind of tools that Adobe can use to add more value and ingrain itself with customers even more. I think the real question is going to be, does this allow Adobe to actually sell more seats to its products? If Adobe has one of the industry's leading artificial intelligence tools and it's relatively easy to use, that could actually broaden the company's potential customer base, so that now I don't necessarily have to be an expert in graphic design or video editing. I can just be a prompt engineer to create the kind of images that I want to create, maybe for YouTube, maybe for my newsletter. I think that's going to be a very interesting place for Adobe to be. And again, adds value to existing products and locks in customers further. So AI is going to be a tailwind for Adobe. Dropbox is another one. It's a very similar story. Dropbox actually has its own servers, and that's where your data is. It's not sitting on a third-party cloud service. So now if you want to use artificial intelligence to say, hey, scan my documents and summarize this folder of documents, you're going to be able to do that in Dropbox. This is some new products that they've announced in the last couple of months. And I think we're going to see that rolling out in the future. A lot of small to medium-sized companies have their information on Dropbox. That's where it's shared. That's the data repository. So as artificial intelligence learns from the data that's within a set of documents, within a data repository, Dropbox is going to be one of the companies that's going to be able to add value to their existing services. I think that's again key, is that they have the customers, they're going to just be able to add more value to those customers. And Dropbox is not the kind of company that you think of as an AI company. So it's not priced like an AI company today, but I do think it's really well positioned. Another one that fits sort of in that similar area is Microsoft. Again, much bigger, much different product than Dropbox, but they have the cloud services, they have those subscriptions with Microsoft 365, and they've already begun integrating artificial intelligence, large language models into the products that they're offering. So adding more value to the customers that are already subscribing to their products. And then the ultimate value is probably going to live in the Azure side, so the cloud side of the business, where they have the partnership with OpenAI. They're going to be able to have access to some of the best models in the world and then offer services with their cloud services for people to build on top of artificial intelligence. Multiple vectors where Microsoft is going to be able to grow because of AI, both expanding the uses of existing products and deepening that relationship and the revenue per user, but also being the platform that other companies are using to build new products. That's going to be the role that Azure and the cloud services plays for Microsoft. And the final company may not be one that you're thinking about as an AI company, but I think Apple is going to have a lot of tailwinds from artificial intelligence. I mentioned earlier that the models themselves are starting to be open sourced. As a result, the model can be shrunk down, optimized for devices. And the inference or each call that you make to an artificial intelligence model can now be done on device. This is something that Meta said is already being worked on by its partners. It's going to be rolled out next year into smartphones. I think Apple is actually going to do that potentially even later this year with some of the earlier use cases of artificial intelligence. That large language model, things like Siri, are now going to be running on device and be able to answer many more questions, maybe even tie into something like the browser and Google search. But ultimately, the fact that the model themselves are moving to on-device inference is going to be a tailwind for Apple. That means that their silicon, their chips, everything they control within iPhones, within Macs is going to work that much better than their competitors. I think that's going to be a continued competitive advantage for Apple in the future in artificial intelligence, whether they're the ones developing the products or whether they're just opening it up via API to developers that are building apps. This is going to be a bigger tailwind to Apple than a lot of people think. So the 5 stocks that I think have a lot of tailwinds in artificial intelligence, and specifically the products that are adding value, are Alphabet, Adobe, Dropbox, Microsoft, and Apple. What do you think of those 5 stocks in artificial intelligence? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next time.